Hey, buddy, watch this.
Hello, Regis Kilman is the name, and Hearthstone is the game, and welcome to the Advice Arena, where I give you advice on playing an arena. This time around, we're starting a new run. I have selected Rogue as my class, and hopefully you'll notice something a little different on my screen. It was requested by a couple different people that I try the Hearth Arena companion app while drafting an arena. Now, I don't usually do that in my videos. I like to draft by myself, essentially, and make the decisions on my own regards. Hopefully just to give you a sense of how I think about arena and to facilitate as much discussion as is possible. All that said, I do think Hearth Arena is a fantastic resource, and if you need help in arena, you should absolutely use it. And I'm not super experienced with the companion app, but it seems to work pretty fantastically so far and can certainly help you draft well. All that said, this is not a paid sponsorship. I really do think that's all true. So we're going to give it a go on this particular arena run. I do, in fact, expect that to increase the quality of my drafts and make my runs a little better. I think Hearth Arena will help people play better in arena, at least on the draft angle. So hopefully we get a good run out of this. That said, I do want your feedback. If you think that this hampers my discussion in any way or harms the drafting process or reduces the quality of the videos, let me know. Conversely, if you think it makes it way better, I'd love to hear that too, because I would love to play with Hearth Arena as an assistant more often, because I do think that will increase the quality of our runs and our drafting decisions. So all that said, all those caveats aside, let's jump into this brand new raft. We've selected Rogue as our class, and this is our first pick. And Hearth Arena definitely tells us that Dark Iron Skulker is the best choice by far, and I completely agree. Board clears are fantastic in arena anyway. This is a solid minion that's a 4/3 with a board clear attached in that battle cry. This can really help you react to your opponent's board while establishing your own threat. And that said, Midnight Drake and Mogwar's Champion both have the same problem, that their health totals are just a little too weak, particularly in Mogwar's case. There's some upside on his attack, but the card effect, of course, reduces all of that upside, meaning he often just dies for free against nonsense stuff because he hits the wrong targets and has such a low health total. Midnight Drake, card advantage is pretty rare in arena, so this is usually like a 3/4 or a 4/4 for 4, which is below vanilla stat levels. And even if you get a lot of upside and you happen to have 8 cards in hand and this is a huge high attack minion, it still just dies so easily at 4 health that it doesn't make sense to pick it. So Dark Iron Skulker is indeed the easy choice there. Here, we've got Direwolf Alpha. This is a nice 2-drop. 2-drops are, of course, great in arena. This one helps you trade up a little bit, but I will say that at only 2 attack and 2 health, it doesn't usually trade very well on turn 2 on its own, so it's not a great turn 2 minion just because it dies to 2/3s, it dies to 2/2s, and it doesn't trade up into 2/3s. So you really only trade well half the time, and the rest of the time you lose the trade. So there's a lot of downside potential there. Rogue can get away with its hero power on turn 2 sometimes, just depending on the situation. So Direwolf as sort of a trade-up utility on turn 4 or 5, or as a mana filler, makes a little bit more sense. I don't mind Assassin's Blade at all. I'd be pretty tempted here to pick Assassin's Blade slightly over Direwolf Alpha. Salty Dog is terrible for the exact same reasons Midnight Drake and Mogwar's Champion are bad, so it's a pass for me pretty easily. Assassin's Blade is somewhat slow for arena, right? Because by the time turn 5 comes around, stuff has more than 3 health. So it can be a lot of damage bundled into a single card, but it often means you have to eat a lot of face damage, which puts you at risk and doesn't often clean up the board that well. So although I'd be tempted by Assassin's Blade, particularly this early in the draft when I think we'll get more 2-drops, we'll go ahead and follow Hearth Arena's advice and take the Direwolf Alpha here. Okay, so up next, Polluted Hoarder, Dark Scale Healer, and Annoyatron. It looks like Hearth Arena is taking a while to evaluate our options here. Taking a long time. I don't know if this is abnormal. It seems abnormal. Anyway, I'll just share my thoughts. Annoyatron is pretty darn good. particularly with cards like Direwolf Alpha, because Divine Shields are annoying in Arena, and this allows it to trade up, so it's got a little bit higher of an attack. Plus taunts are valuable in Arena sometimes. That Annoyatron can protect a higher value minion. I also like Darkscape Healer quite a bit. It's a solid 4 or 5 body. Slightly understatted for 5 mana, but heals can be relevant because in Arena you often have 1 or 2 minions lingering around. So this heals those minions back up to full health. So it's kind of like it's a 4/7 or a 4/8 if it's getting a heal or 2 off. Plus it heals your face, and sometimes 2 health can be the difference between that hunter killing you this turn and you winning the game. So a pretty tempting card there. Polluted Hoarder, I guess Hearth Arena puts pretty close to these other 2 options. But I don't like it nearly as much. It dies a little too easily to 2 and 3 drops. And although card draw never hurts, I think the downsides for Polluted Hoarder as sort of a mid-range tempo card, it's not good enough, right? It loses the board too easily. So I'm really torn between these 2. But we'll take the Annoyatron. Hearth Arena agrees apparently that it's great with Direwolf Alpha, so that'll work. Okay, up next is Pit Snake Backstab and Anubisith Sentinel. Pit Snake, pretty cool, kind of little cheap removal card that can die really easily to certain classes, of course, like Rogue or Mage. But that does require them to spend 2 mana to kill 1 mana minion, so that's a little bit of upside there as far as tempo is concerned. But this can also really hinder your opponent's decisions in many ways. They can't play that big Boulder Fist Ogre into your Pit Snake, for instance, so they have to change their plays. That can cause a lot of mana issues and so on and so forth. So interesting card, but really I don't think it's got enough raw strength. It's not necessarily perfect on turn 1, and can be pretty bad if you top deck in the late game and they're a Mage or Rogue, which are very common Arena classes. So probably going to pass on the Pit Snake. Backstab is pretty enticing. I don't know what we did to Hearth Arena. Did we make it think we made a pick? I don't know. But I guess it suggests Anubisith Sentinel over Backstab, but I'm going to diverge from Hearth Arena here. And I'm going to take the Backstab. I think with minions like these that don't do a ton of damage in the early game, and in combination with their hero power, Backstab's just too good to pass up. I like the early game tempo plays quite a bit. And I don't love Anubisith Sentinel. Sometimes it's really hard to get that Death Rattle effect to go off effectively, and it doesn't usually trade super well into 5 and 6 drops, so I'm going to grab the Backstab. Alright, so here, an 89 for Capture Droremonger. Wow, I didn't realize it ranked it so highly. I think Capture Droremonger is pretty good, because 5 attack, 9 health is a great stat allocation that trades efficiently, but it's a little slow. I really like Flame Juggler a lot as a card. Just a good value 2-drop. The ping can be super good and certainly win you games. Mechanical Yeti is also a strong 4-drop. Just good stats. Spare parts can be super relevant in Rogue in particular with things like combo. But we'll... this app, I just don't know, folks. It's really acting funky to me. I'm so sorry for this. May not be the best experience, honestly, as far as the video is concerned. Oh, okay, so it's not. All right, now it's settled itself out. That's what we thought. Let's hit this green button, and man, do all Hearth Arena apps behave this terribly? So apparently Hearth Arena actually agrees with me. Flame Juggler just makes way too much sense here, and Capture Droremonger is apparently also too slow in their opinion. So we'll grab the Flame Juggler here. Up next. Alright, seems to be catching up and behaving more consistently now. Alright, perfect. Alright, good deal. Okay, so Clockwork Gnome I don't honestly hate. Pretty solid little 1-drop that can get you a spare part. It trades up pretty well into 2-drops. Surprisingly high value little minion. Stone Splinter Trog is just a fine kind of vanilla 2-drop with some upside that's very unlikely to make an impact just because spells are pretty uncommon. But just a decent body for 2, which you always need a lot of 2-drops. But we've already got 3, so we're on a good start there. I think we need to start shifting more towards the mid-game. Shadowban Rider is a pretty intriguing card. Even as a 3/7, that's really not too bad in Arena, because most stuff's not doing 7 damage, so it can attack twice. So, it's almost like it has 6 attack in some regard against mini minions, but if you get the combo off and it's a 6/7 for 5, that's nuts, right? That's a Boulder Fist Ogre that's 1 mana cheaper, which is super threatening on turn 5. So if you like coin that out on turn 4 and get a 6/7 out, that's a nutty play. So Shadowpan Rider is pretty cool and not a card I get to play with all that often. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the Shadowpan Rider in agreement here with Hearth Arena. Okay, so most likely we're going to take the Piloted Shredder here. We need some 4-drops, and it's just a sick card. Lord of the Arena stat allocation. If it was a 5/6, it'd be a lot better, because that wouldn't be a terrible taunt. But 5 health dies to a lot of stuff. And although taunts are valuable, and this is a big, thick minion, it's just not perfect. Blackwing Corruptor is a great minion in Constructed, but we don't have any dragons, so that effect is super inconsistent. And the 5/4 body, although okay at 5 mana, is just, again, too low of health for its cost. So the Piloted Shredder is just a fantastic minion. I wonder if me mousing over these probably delays the ability for the app to read the cards. Perhaps I should stop fiddling with the mouse quite so much. So I'm highly skewed towards Piloted Shredder, of course. 4/3 is a great stat allocation because it trades up pretty well. And even if it dies to like 2 or 3 drops at that 3 health total, of course it summons another minion, so you're getting something else. And sometimes you get that Millhouse Mana Storm for 4/4, right? So a lot of upside on Piloted Shredder. Hearth Arena is apparently not as convinced or not as sure. This is going to add 10 minutes to my drafting time. I'd like it to fill in before I make the choice, but I guess I'm just going to skip ahead. Jeez. I don't have all day for Hearth Arena to catch up here. Alright, up next, interesting cards, Novice Engineer. Really just card draw attached to a body, right? It's just a card cycle card. You don't care about the body for 2 mana, but having cards can be good. It's pretty important in a card game. I like Frost Elemental a lot. Really high tempo card, essentially. For 6 mana, you get to play a solid body and stall out your opponent, whether that's their face or a minion. It can really help you establish and control the board. And I don't even hate Ancient Brewmaster here. 5/4 for 4. It's a lot of stats bundled into that body, and the Brew Battle Cry can be decent depending on the deck, right? It doesn't really help us much here. It's good with Dark Iron Skulker in some ways. Not bad with something like Flame Juggler, but not super great with anything that we have. But again, Hearth Arena agrees. The Frost Elemental is just too strong here. Too good. Plus, we need some late game cards at this point still, so pretty easy choice for me. Up next, Nightblade. Don't like that very well. 4/4 is awfully weak for 5 mana, and the Battlecry is almost always irrelevant, right? You'd rather have a good minion on turn 5 than dig for lethal that late. Stone Splinter Trog's still a good 2-drop, but Bog Creeper is just awesome as a card. So hard to deal with in Arena. Trades so efficiently. It's costed well. It's a late game taunt that can win you the game. I'm almost certainly going to take Bog Creeper no matter what Hearth Arena recommends here. I'm just way too in love with it, and Hearth Arena apparently agrees. It is a 93 is our recommendation here. Alright, up next. Ugh. I don't totally love these, but I think we'll probably grab the Master Jouster here. Headcrack is just so useless. Spending 3 mana on 2 damage is really bad. And the fact that it's an infinite card doesn't really matter until like super late game fatigue style battles, so it kind of is a hindrance until that point. So it's bad until a very specific situation very late in games that doesn't often occur. Silted Swarmer's a little better in Rogue in my opinion, because you do have your hero power out a lot. So you often get to attack with Rogue, not always on turn 3. Plus your opponent will feel compelled to deal with it, and it's got great stats for its cost, right? So it's a very efficient trader if they do decide that they want to answer it. It's pretty tempting, but I do like Master Jouster a lot as well. And Hearth Arena apparently agrees that Headcrack is the worst card ever. So Hearth Arena is recommending Silted Swarmer on the regards of mana curve, because we don't have any 3-drops yet. Which, that's true, that's true. We don't, but we do have some 2s. No 4s yet either. We've got some gaps here, some holes, basically. We do have 6 drops, or late game drops. Master Jouster's a little better with high cost cards, right? Because it's more likely to win the joust. So I'll go ahead and just listen to Hearth Arena on this one. I'm pretty tempted and torn anyway between the two, and they give the slight edge to the Silithid Swarmer. So in the sake of doing Hearth Arena justice, we'll go ahead and take the recommendation there. Here I'm going to be pretty biased towards Dark Iron Dwarf. Dancing Swords is fine as a 3-drop, I think. Giving a card to your opponent's usually not that punishing if you can gain the board on turn 3 with something like Dancing Swords, and it usually does trade very efficiently into 2-drops and sometimes trades up into 4-drops too as well, so you can get like double value, right, against things like Lost Hall Strider or Dark Iron Dwarf. But Dark Iron Dwarf's particularly good with cards like Annoyatron and even Piloted Shredder, and just a good minion with really strong battle cry that sets up very efficient trades. Tall Strider is fine as just a vanilla 4-drop, but you know, it's only slightly better than Dark Iron Dwarf in regards to stats, but Dark Iron Dwarf has an insanely strong battle cry. So it looks like Hearth Arena agrees with me here. Dark Iron Dwarf is the best choice. Up next, this one's pretty tough. I don't like any of these cards, to tell you the truth. Dragon Crusher is just a good body, but kind of slow and doesn't force your opponents to really react to it unless they're below 15 health. Spawn on Azoth I don't like because as a 3-drop it doesn't have good stats, right? So it dies really easily to stuff around it. 2-drops, 3-drops, 4-drops. Doesn't trade efficiently at all. And the Death Rattle, basically you're giving your opponent control over that Death Rattle effect most of the time, which means on turn 3 you're not likely to have minions on the board. In the late game they can kind of pick and choose how they trade, so it's unlikely to ever get value from its Death Rattle. Salty Dog we've already talked about, I hate. Hearth Arena thinks Dragon Crusher is the best option, and I think I tend to agree, even though it's not my favorite card. I'd probably rather have a Boulder Fist Ogre most of the time, because I don't love the battle cry, but it is a dragon. If we find any dragon synergies, it could help quite a bit. Ooh, Unearthed Raptor is awfully enticing. Wow. Demolisher's pretty bad in my mind. Just doesn't trade well, right? The effect is pretty cool if it stays on the board a long time, but if your opponent is able to kill it with something like Piloted Shredder so quickly and easily, it's so low value because it doesn't trade up. Dark Iron Skulker is still good and still tempting, frankly, because it's just got such a good battle cry. But Unearthed Raptor with stuff like Piloted Shredder is really enticing. And if we get a good 2-drop Death Rattle, it could be fantastic. Plus, we still need some 3s, and the stats here are good. Hearth Arena thinks Dark Iron Skulker is still slightly better. It's intriguing. I don't know. I feel like for curve considerations, and just because it's got great stats for a 3-drop, I'm very intrigued by Unearthed Raptor. Huh. I really feel like diverging here from Hearth Arena again, but perhaps we'll follow their advice just because this is our first Hearth Arena run, and following it as closely as possible would be wise. Well, we'll do it. We'll see. I mean, it's admittedly a fantastic card, just so strong. If you can kill minions with it, it's ridiculous. Ugh. These are all not great. I think we'll probably end up taking Unstable Ghoul here. It's just a 2-drop that trades. We don't really benefit from the Death Rattle, though. In fact, we kind of hurt from it with things like Annoyatron. But that's really the only super downside, I guess. Ancient Brewmaster's still okay. Gang Up is just too slow, in my opinion. It takes a lot of time to get value out of this. It's not card cycle right. It just takes forever for it to matter. So Hearth Arena is similarly torn between these two cards. We have 2 4-drops and 3 2-drops. They give the edge to Unstable Ghoul for the fact that we need 2-drops. Okay, I can buy into that. Ancient Brewmaster's pretty good with Dark Iron Skulker, as it says here, plus like Dark Iron Dwarf, Flame Juggler, a lot of stuff, but Hearth Arena gives the slight edge here to Unstable Ghoul. Doesn't want us to fall short on 2-drop, so we'll take it. Here I'm probably going to take the Pit Snake. I think Hearth Arena will suggest the same. Priestess of Elune, bad stat allocation for 6 mana. 4 health heal is not terrible, but just not impactful enough. Made it like bad stats for 4-drop, doesn't trade into anything. And it's probably least relevant on Rogue, because your hero power being cheaper doesn't really help necessarily. Because your hero power lasts multiple turns. And so Pit Snake it is. Hearth Arena agrees. Not the best card in the game, but the best of these choices. Intriguing. I don't like any of these either. I guess maybe Fossilized Devilsaur just to have a big body. We don't have any beasts though, probably, right? We have Direwolf Alpha Pit Snake Beast, so it's possible. Ogre Magi is not terrible in Rogue, especially like Backstab, but another 4/4 4-drop is probably not super strong. Ironbeak Alice, just too weak for a 3-drop, right? It doesn't trade. Silences are unreliable because you never know if you're going to have to silence something. I'm curious what Hearth Arena recommends here. I think it'll probably say Fossilized Devilsaur with Ogre Magi close behind, and that's exactly what it says. So, yeah, I agree with this pick. A slight edge here to Fossilized Devilsaur. Look at this. I love Hearth Arena. The exact same things I recommended. Backstab synergies, beast synergies. Cool. Pretty fun stuff. So we'll grab that. We're kind of probably getting full on late game in my opinion, but okay. Betrayal's a pretty strong card in Arena. Just kind of strong AoE type removal. Like that a lot. Gulcher Footman would be better if it was a 2/1, I think, because it trades up. But actually with Direwolf Alpha, it's a little better. Tinkers just takes a lot of time to gain value, and it's pretty unreliable to combo out, particularly on turn 4. I don't actually hate it as much here as does Hearth Arena, apparently. I guess the tier score is 52, which is pretty close to where I'd put it. They have it at 39, I guess, for some reason, but not really sure why. But they agree Betrayal is the best choice here, and I'm on board with that too. They pointed out a pretty interesting synergy with Betrayal, and that is that Dark Iron Dwarf can cast its attack on enemy minions. So if you increase the attack of an enemy minion and then cast Betrayal, it can make Betrayal hit for more, essentially. Oh boy, I think we'll take Nerubian Prophet here. I do not love either of these 3-drops, and I love the upside of Nerubian Prophet if you're able to get it out at a low cost. It's a really high tempo play. Plus, it's just super flexible from a mana standpoint in many ways. These are just too awful. Just trade so poorly with one attack, right? They die to other 3-drops pretty easily and don't kill them in return. So Hearth Arena agrees Nerubian Prophet is the best choice. This is a pretty intriguing... Bog Creeper's so good, I'm sure that's going to be the recommendation, and I'm pretty tempted as well. Bog Creeper's the kind of card that, even though you might feel like you have too much late game, it shuts down opponents so effectively that it's fine for your deck to be a little slower. Because even if they're ahead, it can help you recover, because it's taunts. It forces them to make really inefficient trades and buys you time. So I think we'll probably take the Bog Creeper. Volcanic Drake's kind of intriguing. If it can be a, Dark Iron Skulker clear into Volcanic Drake could be a sick play. Refreshment Vendor's not terrible, right? It's got okay stats for a 4-drop. Health is good for rogues because we will be using our weapon a lot to trade. So I don't hate it, but yeah, I think Hearth Arena agrees. Bog Creeper is just too insanely good of a card to pass up. These are intriguing. Corrupted Healbot's got great stats for a 5-drop. We have some good 5-drops, but we have a very late game oriented deck so far. I feel like a lot of good late game cards, so that's enticing. Corrupted Seer's more removal, kind of falls in line with Dark Iron Skulker, but it does kill our own stuff, so there's some risks here. Sunfury Protector I don't hate. Just having another Taunt Giver is fine. It's a solid 2-drop too, just a 2/3 vanilla 2-drop basically. So it might be feasible as well. I would probably lean towards Corrupted Healbot here, but Sunfury Protectors, we're getting late in the draft, and we have 4 2-mana minions, so it's not totally off-putting. I think Corrupted Seer is probably too too self-punishing for us to grab. Curious what Hearth Arena says here. I really have no insights into what it thinks is the best choice. So, oh, it likes Corrupted Seer the best. I don't know about that. It's just too unpredictable. That assumes we're going to be behind, which I guess our deck is so late game oriented that perhaps we will be behind. And this is a kind of recovery type card between Dark Iron Skulker and Corrupted Seer. We could really do work, but they can't be played in the same turn together. So yeah, I guess Hearth Arena agrees our deck is a sort of attrition deck, which means, you know, we win over the late game with big bodies. So it thinks that Corrupted Seer fits that mentality better, which I think makes sense. That's the angle I would take it at as well. It agrees that Corrupted Healbot is an objectively better card, but in our deck archetype, essentially Corrupted Seer is slightly better fitting. We'll try it. We'll see. Scarlet Crusader's a pretty good pick for me here. We're really light on 3-drops, and it's an awfully good one. I do like Betrayal still. I don't like Grotesque Dragonhawk. Just a little too slow. It's hard to get that Wind Fury to work, particularly because, you know, when you play it, your opponent gets to attack it first. So it doesn't have Wind Fury on defense, right? It only attacks once on defense, which means they can kill it, and you'll never get to utilize the Wind Fury effect. So I think Scarlet Crusader is going to be my choice here. Betrayal is good, but we have a lot of removal. We have Dark Iron Skulker, Corrupted Seer, 1 Betrayal, even a Backstab. So I think we need some 3-drops, right? We need to be proactive with our 3-drops. I do think our deck is coming along pretty nicely. We have some high-value cards. Bog Creepers are really good. Frost Ellies are quite good. Shadowpan's good. Skulkers are good. Pally the Shredder's good. Dark Iron Dwarf's good. Pretty high-value minions. Flame Juggler's not bad. Moitron's pretty good. Pretty high-value minions. Okay, so Hearth Arena does agree. Pretty similar sentiments to myself. We do seriously need a 3-drop. I totally agree there. Huh, this is intriguing. Well, that was quick. Man, Hearth Arena is very inconsistent, isn't it, with its timings? Still bad. Still okay, as we discussed before. I think a fine 4-drop. You actually need some 4-drops. I'm surprised Shiv is the actual recommendation here. I like Shiv. Pings are good, particularly when we also have a ping in our hero power, so it can kind of be a 2-damage ping. Card draw is also good for a deck like this where we need some late game resources. But man, I'm awfully tempted to grab a 4-drop. It's also a beast, which is nice for Fossilized Devilsaur. I guess we'll take the Hearth Arena advice, but man, I hope we get some 4-drops here. Ugh, bad cards. Man, I don't think that Dread Corsair has bad synergy with our deck. That's not the right way to put it. With Rogue, it's always probably a 3-drop. Or at least a lot of the time it's a 3-drop. The problem is Faceless Behemoth is ridiculously slow. It takes forever and can't trade into multiple minions. So the fact that it doesn't have Taunt makes it objectively worse than Bog Creeper, despite having much better stats. Wind Fury Harpy, same problem as Grotesque Dragonhawk. Just Wind Fury doesn't matter most of the time. So I agree, the Dread Corsair is the best choice. It's technically a 4-drop, which we need. Has some rogue synergies and potential pirate synergies if we drew a pirate card in the future. But that's a pretty bad selection of cards. Here we'll take the Scarlet Crusader again. We need 3-drops still. And I love Scarlet Crusader anyway. I think it's a strong arena card. In fact, I think that tier score is unfortunately low. Scarlet Crusader is always annoying when I face them in arena, even when you have a ping class. This requires so much mana to deal with. Aberrant Berserker is a fine 4-drop, and I'm tempted to grab it because we still need a little bit of 4-drops. But apparently Hearth Arena agrees Scarlet Crusader is just too good with stuff like Dark Iron Dwarf. Core Hound, same problem that many cards we've discussed so far have. This health is just absurdly low for its cost, so the fact that it has high damage isn't usually relevant. I'll play Fan of Knives here. Card draw is great. It's removal that works really well with stuff like Dark Iron Skulker and Corrupted Seer, so a lot of synergies there. Elven Archer's okay, but just doesn't have enough raw punch, right? We need This deck's very late game skewed, so we need cards that either draw us cards if they're cheap or do something very powerful. So this is just worse than Shiv, right? Because Shiv does the same thing but draws a card. No Morgana Infantry, we've had a few 3-drops with the same problem. Just one attack trades so darn poorly. And Fan of Knives fits our deck well, and more card draws is always good at this point. Eviscerate is probably the choice here, just a really good arena card. It's just high damage output, good removal. I like Nerubian Prophet, but we already have one, and we're pretty good on late game minions. And this, even though this could be a 4-drop or something, it's Eviscerate's just too good to pass up, essentially. Lily Squire is hard to work with. It kind of forces you down a path where you hero power on 2, which isn't always the best, and if you don't hero power on 2, it's hard to make it work. So not a great card. Much like the Archer, just not enough raw punch in the card, not enough raw output of power. Here we're going to go Infested Tauren, I'm sure. We need the 4-drop. I'm trying to make my calls before Hearth Arena. It's finally working really quickly, which is nice. And try to make my calls right before it does so that it can confirm I'm not just copying Hearth Arena. Maybe that's not necessary, but it's a good 4-drop. It's fine in Arena. It's a Death Rattle, which is nice. It doesn't always trade well. It's kind of worse than Piloted Shredder, objectively, because it does the same thing, but trades less efficiently than does Piloted Shredder, because the first half has the same amount of health, but 2 less attack. And the average card that comes out of Piloted Shredder is a 2/2, right? So it's worse than Piloted Shredder, but a Taunt is good, and it's a solid card. Cobalt Geomancer, spell damage is okay, because we have 2 spells, I guess. Actually, a few. Shiv, Backstab, Fan of Knives are all really good with that. I guess I could read that here. But as a 2-drop itself, it's just not that strong. Tinkers, we've already discussed, the same problems still exist. This isn't like a weapon or burn deck where we need a lot of damage. So Infested Tauren makes the most sense for curve considerations. Shadow Strike is really enticing here, yeah. Solitude still bad. Shiv's, I don't think, a bad choice here at all. But Shadow Strike is such good removal. It's so efficient, because a lot of stuff has 5 health, right? And killing it for 3 mana can be a huge play. So we'll grab the Shadow Strike. I totally agree, Hearth Arena. North Sea Kraken, easy. Not even a question. Fantastic card altogether, and we have a late game deck anyway, so it fits. Plus, these are both just trash. Same problem with the other Wind Fury cards here with Thrallmar. Just doesn't trade efficiently for a 3-drop. It's a 9. That's not surprising. Mogashan, same problem with those 3-drops that have 1/4. It just doesn't trade efficiently. It needs to have attack power to trade and contest the board. So North Sea Kraken is totally obvious choice. Ooh, intriguing. This is tough. Probably BGH, but I don't know. I don't like Kidnapper that much. It's probably better in Arena than normal, but crowd favorite. Okay. So it agrees that they're all very close here, and this is our final card, so this is going to close out the deck. I don't know, man. I'm kind of tempted by BGH. I guess it's a little worse than it used to be, because it's a 5-mana minion, but still. Oh, one downside of BGH with this deck is that there may be scenarios where we can't play it. I only have 2 guys that are higher than 6 attack, so that's unlikely. Kidnapper's better in Arena than Constructed, because it's a pretty big tempo play to return a minion to its owner's hand. You can do cool stuff like with our minions, right? We can pull back Dark Iron Dwarf and use the effect again, but it can also be a big tempo play against your opponent, removing like a giant fossilized Devilsaur, for instance, and forcing them to respin the mana can be big. Hearth Arena likes crowd favorites. We do probably need one more 4-drop, so that makes sense. We do have a lot of Battlecry cards, I guess, right? What does it list here? A ton of stuff, so okay, I'll buy that. I can buy that. If it was me, I probably would have picked one of the other 2. I don't know which. I probably would have grabbed Kidnapper for the slightly better stats. They're very similar, though, in what they accomplish, I think. But I don't think I would have grabbed Crowd Favorite. This would not have been my choice. But I'll trust Hearth Arena here. I'll trust it. Okay, so here's our list. This is our new rogue deck, thanks to Hearth Arena. And I'm actually going to turn off Hearth Arena, I think, for the actual run itself. I'm not convinced that that I need its help to play the game or record my stats or anything like that. I keep my own stat recording, so this point on, we'll just use Hearth Arena for the draft. Again, let me know if you thought that was useful. There's a lot of downtime that time. I wonder if something was working itself out, because it certainly seemed to work much better in the second half of the draft. So we'll try to do that again in the future and see if it works. But here's our list. I think we've got a pretty solid deck here. A lot of high-value cards, honestly. Only a few dead turns during that draft there where we got bad stuff. So what are we going to call this rogue? I'm curious what we should call it. I guess we could call it the Skulker Rogue, since we do have 2 Skulkers and a few different ways to do AoE removal, so that seems to be a bit of a theme. So we'll call it the Skulker Rogue, and we'll go ahead and jump in and play our first 2 games on this run. I think we can do well. We can win 7 games, maybe even more. Rogue is a great arena class, so there's always a lot of potential when playing Rogue. I'm certainly hopeful for the deck. For the opponent, who would have guessed? Yeah, we've got a priest. Fine with that. The seal will not hurt us too much, I don't think. I'll keep the 2-drop here and look for other stuff. Definitely don't want the Devil Soar. The crowd favorite's probably not bad, but we didn't have any other Battle Cry in hand, so this is not my favorite hand ever. All these cards are a little awkward and slow, but they work. Unstable is fine against the Fairy Dragon, so we'll go ahead and play that to contest it. Priest can't buff the health of that or heal it or anything, so not the best Priest synergy card in my opinion, but you gotta pick 2-drops sometimes, right? Again, not the best Priest synergy card. Scarlet Crusader's an easy choice here. Clean trade. Priest can't ping it off, so he may have a pain dealing with this. Infested Tauren can help protect it as well next turn, so... Oh, man. That is a bad turn. I think I'll go ahead and do this. I could play the Dread Sail, or the Dread Corsair, I mean, but I don't really think there's a reason, because next turn I can weapon and Dread Corsair, and that's still on curve, and that means this stays on curve as well. Yeah, I think we'll weapon Dread, backstab, trade. Could also, yeah, that's the best play. I think I'll hold the weapon charges. I don't know. I don't think I'll be re-weaponing for a couple turns, and it might make a difference with both of these AoE cards. Might need a weapon charge in a turn or two, so don't actually have a great answer for that. Could play the Skulker to set up some trades. Could also just play the Prophet on curve. If I don't Skulk this turn, though, I won't get to Skulk that next turn, which could make it a little harder to kill. So I guess I'll actually just play the Skulker now. That means he'll have to trade in here, and Fan of Knives will clean it up, basically, after he makes the trade. Plus, if he has, like, Excavated Evil or something, it's not the best turn to play it. It would still be pretty good, but... Oh, that's a good play. Jeez Louise. That's a good play. So I can kill both things. Actually, I have the exact right mana to do it as well, so we're in a fine spot. We'll trade up here. And I think I'm going to Fan of Knives instead of using my weapon, because I don't have a lot of cards, and I don't have anything to play next turn. I guess I can Profit, Fan of Knives, Hero Power next turn. That will be... no, I can just Profit and Fan of Knives next turn. So I guess I'll just go ahead and take the face damage this turn. And then re-weapon. Still got a good board. I think we're in a fine spot. North Sea Kraken's going to be very relevant soon. Plus, we have a lot of stuff to draw into that's really good at this point. So we're ahead on board, a little behind on cards. Bog Creeper, man, what a good card. Direwolf is actually the perfect answer. We've drawn pretty well here. And we'll play this guy. North Sea Kraken's going to be amazing next turn, virtually no matter what. So we've held the board. He's got some late game stuff though. I'm a little scared. He might actually be able to go toe to toe with us late game, but at least we have the board. This being at 5 kind of sucks to Shadow Word Death, but that's not my least favorite Shadow Word. Wow, super relevant. Jeez Louise. But I was going to say, we have so many big minions that I don't even think I mind. So now this perhaps can't get Shadow Word Deathed, so that works out really well. Fan of Knives will be good here, because Pit Snake's a pretty bad draw at this point in the game. It actually is hard for Priest to deal with, but... Oh my. We have 4 damage without having to use this, so hopefully he doesn't get this above 4. Holy Nova. Okay. Can actually respect it. So, probably have to kill that. Unfortunately, this goes down to 1 health, which sucks. But I don't know that Priest can deal with that. He just Holy Nova'd. But I think we definitely have to kill that. And we'll kill this next so that the Death Rattle doesn't go off. And I think we'll just go ahead and play both of these. We just saw Holy Nova. It's very unlikely that he has another, and I don't really want to have to kill my dudes. I'd like to hit him for 15. There's an argument to save this, since this could kill almost anything anyway. But there's a chance this lives multiple turns, because Priest cannot deal 1 damage at all. Oh wow, it's gonna get taunt. That's super insanely good. Do we have lethal though? 15, 17, 18. No, we don't have any lethal. So we'll go ahead and do this. And man, I have a dilemma here, right? I'm gonna kill this one for sure this way. For sure. I have a couple dilemmas, honestly. One is, do I go face? Number 2 is, do I kill the Alchemist with the Crusher or the North Sea Kraken? Or I think the answer is neither. I think I just go face. Put him on a really short clock here. He only has 3 cards. It's even if he has Shadow Word Death, right? He can only kill 2 of these things with his board. So we still have a lot of damage. We got card draw, which is good. But I think we probably just win. It's very unlikely he can deal with all this. Yeah. Cool. Fossilized Devilsaur actually got the taunt. It made a big difference. Because it denied the trade here. Like I said about the Kraken at 1, I think it probably gets to live a couple turns. And in fact it did. So, okay, we'll play one more game in this video before taking a break until part 2. I like our deck. A lot of potential here. I think our only risk is drawing into that low, the backstab or the pit snake stuff against a really late game oriented opponent. Not drawing our cards that we need in the late game, or conversely getting a giant hand of giant stuff in the beginning and not being able to play out the early tempo game. We're probably a little better against that because we do have some recovery AoE, but we'll keep the 3-drop here with a coin. It could be very relevant, particularly with our weapon. But we'll send everything else back, including the Shiv. I don't think Shiv's that great right now. That's good. Betrayal's not great. Bog Creeper's a little slow. But Backstab, Weapon, Silthid can probably help us navigate through this early turns. Still like to see a 2-drop. I'll just pass. No need to rush. Like him to play a 2-health thing, probably. Well, that's a 2 health thing, but I can't do anything against it. it's the most annoying 2 health thing. I think I'll coin out the Silithid. Getting it out this turn means I can weapon next turn. It's going to be awkward mana, clearly. It's not by choice, but weaponing up this turn doesn't help this attack next turn. So kind of have to do it in this order for it to be relevant. But backstab weapon next turn is probably a good turn, depending on how he trades or navigates this turn. This kind of encourages me to weapon, unless he like makes trades into it and kills it. And then I don't have to worry about that, right? So, okay. Backstab weapon's good so far. He's going to backstab trade, actually, it looks like. No, he's not. He's not. He's not going to backstab trade. I think he should. Because I'm going to have a good trade here where I go boom, weapon, backstab over here. Oh, I can't backstab that though, can I? Jeez, he's had 2 great... Yeah, okay, that's actually better that he backstab traded, I think. He's had 2 cards that are so good against early game rogues. I can't backstab either one of those. Like, what a ridiculous counter. Jeez Louise. I might just Annoyatron. Next turn I can weapon Evis or weapon backstab Evis or weapon Betrayal. But weaponing this turn doesn't accomplish anything for me, so we'll just do that. Hopefully this stalls him out, or maybe it probably forces him to weapon. We've just had super awkward turns because these things are both so good against Rogue. He got like Rogue counter cards. That was the right way to trade for him because now I can't weapon that one. If he did it with this one, I could have weaponed it. He's still thinking about killing this. He doesn't know. He can't decide. If he played another minion, I would definitely consider Betrayal next turn, particularly on that. That's fine for me. Probably just going to play the Shredder here, honestly. We could kill that, but we wouldn't have anything else to do. I'll just Shredder. It's not the best, but he had a very weak turn 4 there because he had to weapon to deal with the Annoyatron. So the Annoyatron basically pulled us into the game. Oh man, where is our Skulker? My god, that would wreck that board. Betrayal also might wreck that board, mightn't it? Oh man, Fan of Knives too. Backstab, Fan, Weapon. Could clear his board. Betrayal. Betrayal, Fan. It's also pretty good. I think we'll backstab, Fan, Weapon. This feels pretty good. It's a good draw. We'll eat 4 face damage to keep the first half of the Shredder alive here. It might make him eat 4 face damage, plus just gives us a much better minion. If we traded the other way, the Shredder would have died. Who knows what we would have got. So we're actually a pretty solid spot, despite having a terrible start, in my opinion. Could actually kill that. If I had Dark Iron Skulker or something, it would feel like a really good play. Instead, I think we'll... Man, I don't love any of our plays. I may just have to Nerubian Prophet. Would love to get this out, right? But, man. This is okay, but you can't play this Crusader and the Ghoul together. That's terrible. So I think we'll just play this. He's going to trade into the Kobold, which will set up an Eviscerate kill on that if I want, which will set up Betrayal perhaps, or a Skulker or a Murloc or something. I just don't have a good play here. Crusader into Ghoul would be good if this was any other 2-drop. So I think we'll just have to do this. I'll save the weapon charge because I likely won't have mana next turn to do it, and I may need it. Could be very relevant. Not the best Nerubian Prophet. 5 mana Nerubian's not ideal. But again, Dark Iron Skulker would probably win me the game here. Or very close to it at least. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Is this real life? Is this real life? Wow. What a turn. What a turn for Arena. I'm glad we drafted 2 of those. Arena, you were absolutely right. Boy, oh boy. What a turn. That's annoying. Super annoying. We have our own. I think we'll just play it. I don't want to play the Bog Creeper because it dies for free to that. We might get a good betrayal out of it next turn, so I'll play our... Oh, but man, we are close to dead, aren't we? I guess like an unstable ghoul. Just to slow that down. This will not have taunt. Could just kill it and play this. Like, it's actually not bad, is it? It's probably... Or kill it and play the Bog Creeper too. What is he... Chill out, Valera. I think I'll just kill it, right? There's no reason not to. Those are neither great minions. Neither of those are... There's just 4-2 and 4-3s, right? They're not like super value. So this is fine. Man, this dude's got some boss minions as well. I think we'll just kill it and play dudes. I may even Shiv face instead of playing the ghoul. Let's Shiv face first, just in case it matters. Flame Juggler would have been good to play instead of the ghoul, but this is fine too. He can't have any more big guys, right? Like, come on. Frost Giant, Devil Sword, like how many do you need? That's a big guy too, but we trade pretty well into that one at least. We trade pretty well into that one. Yeah, we'll just kill it. There's no reason not to. He can like Fan of Knives or something, but... I'm actually just gonna weapon here instead of playing another dude. I don't think she helps a lot, and there's always like mind control tech or some shenanigans, right? I don't want to risk it. Hopefully, I mean, if he weapons that, it's 6 damage. He's basically in our health range at that point. We still have big minions, so I think we're okay. I need him to play multiple minions a turn, so Betrayal gets value. Whoa, that's a good card. Jeez Louise. Oh, I didn't play around Betrayal. Shoot. I'm bad. I'm sitting on it. I didn't even play around it. Jeez Louise. I actually can't kill that right now. My god, play 2 minions, dude. That's pretty big. That's a pretty big minion. So let's think about Betrayal, right? I think this is probably okay. We'll go face. So he's gonna have 2 spells to pick from and 8 mana. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's not 2 fireballs. That would be maybe pretty salty. He's trading, not going face. That means we're probably not dead. What's he got here? Blizzard? Looks like Blizzard to me. Looks like Blizzard to me. Flame Strike maybe? I don't know. What's the deal? Definitely feels like Blizzard. Journey Below, still drawn. Blizzard's pretty good because it stalls out our 9/9. It's not Blizzard. Holy Nova. Okay, it's not bad. I don't actually have lethal, right? I think we have 10. We have 10. I think I have to kill this instead of going face, unfortunately. Question is, do I Betrayal first? I have 10. Jeez Louise. I could just go face and play these guys. Betray. Kill this. It's very unlikely he can deal with everything, right? These still don't have synergy together, but... this is risky, I'll admit, but I don't know. It's very unlikely he can deal with our board and stay alive. He's going to have 4 cards to do it, but I don't know. He has 1 Death Rattle minion that we know of. It could be a taunt, but that's not super likely either. I think we'll win, but it's possible to lose. It's kind of risky leaving that alive, to tell you the truth. This was not a good card to play alongside that, but it's what we drew, so. He has to taunt, though, because our weapon wins the game. Or he has to heal. He could get a heal off Sarad, too. All of those are possibilities, but... I don't know, I think it's better to play to his outs than try to play the value game. Because we don't have any cards left. And he has cards left. So it seemed like putting him out a 1-turn solution is a better route. He should at least see what spell he gets. Why isn't he seeing what spell he gets? Bash is good. What if you got a heal? Oh, that's good too. Shoot. I need a way to kill that. Right now I don't have one. Shadow Strike? Aerolf Alpha does not help. We're in a rough spot now. That's a terrible draw. Bash was the great answer. I don't know why he hesitated so much there. Man, we're going to have trouble winning now. It's getting a lot of value of this guy. He had the taunt and he had the heal. The 2 things that we said are very unlikely for him to have actually happened. We have quite a few outs, though. We dead? He has to trade here. He has to kill this or we just kill him. Or taunt or something, or heal, or, you know. That's not going to do it, I don't think. He can draw a card, but... he doesn't want to do that, but he has to, probably. Did he... that was his Death Rattle minion he picked? Yeah. Well, it's not bad. So, we got some ways to kill the guy. Of course, we're not actually going to get a combo card. Sick. Just gonna whittle him down. Jeez. This doesn't trade that well. This will live through these trades. It won't even trade at all. Jeez. We're in trouble. He's gonna have 11 damage next turn. I don't know if we have any outs. I think we already eviscerated, right? I don't think we have any outs. Shiv? Do we already shiv? I think we shivved. I think we're dead. This theoretically keeps me alive? I think. He can 8. He can't use his weapon to get through it, though. He only has 7 that I can see. This theoretically keeps me alive. Because he can use these 2, but he only has 7 to hit my face, right? Or, no, he can use his face. Oh, I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead. He can just boom, boom, face. Dude. That sucks. Really sucks. Wow. That's a tough loss. I mean, yeah, in hindsight, kill the dude, but I don't think that's the right decision. He had the taunt and the heal, both of which were super unlikely. So we plus not only that, he had a taunt that actually traded up into the Crusher somehow. That's a tough loss, but we drew real poorly, right? We drew like Scarlet Crusader and Direwolf Alpha and Flame Juggler and a bunch of junk late. But we also did not play around Betrayal with crowd favorite. So our crowd favorite died. We could have lost our Flame Juggler instead. So that was a misplay. Although, I think with Betrayal he probably could have killed... I don't remember how it worked, but it was still a misplay. But we didn't draw our North Sea Kraken. We didn't draw Frost Ellie, all these things that probably would have helped, unfortunately. Yeah, that was really tough, man. So in hindsight, yeah, we should have killed the Sarad with our Draconid Crusher and tried to win the next turn battle. But I think our Crusher would have died to Bash if we'd done that. Because the Bash was there anyway, right? So maybe it might have happened a turn or two later. I'm not sure. I'd have to review it. But that's a tough loss. That's a really tough loss. Because we had that insane turn, I think, with Dark Iron Skulker. Man, that certainly felt like a winnable game. I'm a little sad after that one. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for part 1 of my, what did we call this deck? The Skulker Rogue. It's definitely a relevant name. So until next time, with part 2 of the Skulker Rogue. Game on.